Today, we're going to be talking about, are layoffs coming?
A top concern for Americans? Will they lose their job?
So let's talk about the current state of the U.S. economy.
The Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates for the 6th time this year.
The markets are expecting another 0.75 percentage point increase.
50% of firms expect to reduce their labor force in the next 6 to 12 months.
Microsoft has laid off employees for the 3rd time. Snap also laid off. Meta, Coinbase, Netflix, Apple, Tesla. If the layoffs are happening, are they going to affect me? We all need to start preparing for a recession. Figure out your own situation and prepare for a potential layoff. Probably a good time to kind of figure out like your plan on becoming recession-proof. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Make It Make Sense, where we take trending topics, mainly financial and career-based, and we make them make sense. So today we're going to be talking about, are layoffs coming? The Fed has hiked interest rates. We are going to find out here in a few weeks whether they're going to hike them higher. I think the answer is yes, which is going to drive us further into a recession. And so with that said, like if you're looking at your career and how you make money, probably a good time to kind of figure out like your plan on becoming recession-proof. I have my producer listening in. Olivia, would you like to introduce yourself and go from there?
Hey guys, I'm Olivia. I'm the producer here on Make It Make Sense. And today's a really important topic. It's going to be affecting a lot of people, not just in the US, but potentially worldwide. So yeah, definitely it's worth a listen.
So let's talk about the current state of the U.S. economy. The last report that came out, the jobs report, was looking pretty good. GDP is going down, so we're declining in GDP, but inflation hasn't really been tamed. So what that means is that the Fed most likely is going to hike interest rates even further.
The Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates for the 6th time this year.
The Fed's goal to tamp down inflation, which is now at a 40-year high. The markets are expecting another 0.75 percentage point increase.
More companies are going to tighten down. More people are probably going to lose their jobs. Let's just dive into some of the examples. Big tech has already started laying off. So Microsoft has laid off employees for the 3rd time. Microsoft has laid off nearly 1,000 employees, giving us a hint of what is to come in the near future. Snap also laid off 1,200 workers. And it says here the company has been trying to optimize its business, but hasn't been able to do so. This year alone, the company has lost 80% of its value. Meta will be smaller by the end of 2023. Coinbase was also among those affected. Netflix has fired 450 employees. Apple has laid off 100 contract-based recruiters. Tesla fired 229 employees of its autopilot team. All right, guys, so we just showed you a list of companies that are laying off. If the business model isn't necessarily working, those are the first companies that kind of lay off people. And so in this case, if you start seeing these trends, it has me kind of worried. And so you should just be aware of it and start thinking in terms of, if the layoffs are happening, are they going to affect me? And the answer is yes, which takes us to our next point. Olivia, over there in the UK, are you seeing signs of any economic downturn? I know you guys have been through, I've seen a whole bunch of stuff in the UK about the UK market. Are there any indicators that you see over there in the UK?
As far as I know, it's mostly inflation over here that's really affecting everyone. There's not much in the news of layoffs happening. And to be honest, there seems like when you go out and walk around, there's quite a lot of jobs available. But with the way things are going, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of interesting, right? Because the recent jobs report here has been interesting. Companies are still hiring, but with inflation going up, the government keeps raising interest rates in order to combat the fact that inflation is going up. And they're not going to stop until inflation comes back down. So it's kind of a weird scenario where GDP's down, the jobs report, I guess in the UK as well as here, is good, means companies are hiring. But because inflation is going up, the Fed's only main tool is to hike interest rates, which eventually is going to have an effect on the market, possibly drive us into a recession and affect people keeping their jobs.
A top concern for Americans? Will they lose their job?
We have twice the number of job openings as we have workers searching for work. We've never seen that.
So, it's hard to see how we could be in a recession with that level of job growth and income growth.
At the same time, big companies are already announcing layoffs, including Best Buy, Ford Motor, HBO Max, Peloton, Shopify, Walmart, and Wayfair. Now, a survey shows 50% of firms expect to reduce their labor force in the next 6 to 12 months.
The reason why I think this information is helpful to share is because I remember me back in the last recession, I wasn't thinking about like all this stuff. Now I'm financially more educated and I understand more about the economy. But back in the day, my role did get eliminated, but then I had an option to kind of move internal. I got like a severance package and started like a new company. So I double dipped. But that was all like luck. You could be in a better position to be better prepared for it with news like this coming out.
Well, recession is defined as a broad-based, persistent decline in economic activity. And the arbiter of recessions is the Business Cycle Dating Committee, which is a group of academic economists that are at the National Bureau of Economic Research. And they look at a plethora of economic data. GDP is one of the indicators.
So Amber, the National Bureau of Economic Research has to officially declare a recession, Olivia. So like the way that it works is even though like the stats might show a recession, like we don't call it a recession until like Amber like officially like declares it a recession. If you're in tech and you're one of those people that just got laid off, you don't really give a that Denver hasn't declared a recession. You're currently going through economic decline. And that's the basic point that I'm making here is that even though like the trends and stats aren't officially recession based, we all need to start preparing for a recession.
There has been a lot of talk recently. We're in a recession. We have 2 quarters of declining GDP. That often happens with a recession. There's a reason people talk about that. But we have job growth that is incredibly strong. We have an unemployment rate that is a 50-year low. In some ways, I'm like, I'll take it.
Very, very strong still in the labor market. We're still printing new payroll job numbers at a high level.
The single most important thing is, well, do I have a job? Do my kids have a job? Does my wife have a job? You know, those are the kinds of things that people, I think, look at.
Yeah, I think a recession is definitely coming. There's nothing that you can do to control that per se, but what you can do is figure out your own situation and prepare for a potential layoff or what you should do, right? So I'll kind of lay that out in like 3 bullet points. All right, so the first one is prepare by making yourself recession-proof. And this is a good one. The way that you can do that is update your resume, update like your LinkedIn profile, add all your stats in there. So one thing that I found, a lot of people come to me and ask me for like career advice, or they say, hey, Kay, like, how do you work for Google? Like, et cetera, et cetera. One of the first or key things I do is I look at like their resume or looked at their LinkedIn profile. And one of the things that I've realized is that they typically don't have enough, like all of their accomplishments on there. Like they don't have like, here's what I've done. Here's what I'm able to do for your company. So it's not really like a value-based approach to how they structure like their resume. So I would say definitely update like all your stats. For me, like I'm in sales. Like if you look at my LinkedIn resume, you see that I have like specific sales numbers. I was 100% a plan, and here's the income that I brought in for the company. Have like case studies built out. There's everything that shows that it'd be in a company's best interest to hire you during an economic downturn because you can make them money. The way I found out about like your skill set was through the value provided by somebody else. So anything that you would add to that?
For me, I think the biggest thing is mentioning what you can bring to the table and what makes you different from everyone else, whether that's the skills you have or your, past career history. For me, I think the biggest thing is I have skills that are very broad in different digital platforms and digital aspects. So that was the biggest thing that I put on my resume, and I'm always constantly updating them. Getting those certifications as well was something I was always doing and updating on my profile. Okay,
yeah, no, definitely helpful tips. Second tip we have here for you guys. Oh, I think we already listed that one. So the skills, seeing what skills are in demand. So you've done a good job of that, and that's what I want to talk about, right? Like the skills I have in demand. Mine is, selling tech software, and so my resume is built around that. And then obviously, like starting a podcast, I've started to do like marketing events for Google, giving myself new skills to be able to put on my resume. And then the final point, start a side hustle. Most of the time, like you're in a specific economic situation because of the skills you could bring to the table. And if you want to make more money, you're going to need more skills. And yes, there's a ton of context out of that. You could say, I don't think everybody on TikTok that's dancing is providing a ton of value, Keril. How can that be a skill? But actually, it's entertainment, right? And clearly people are clicking on it. The example we gave in the last video, we can kind of include some of those stats here with Charlotte D'Amelio having 133 million followers or view, whatever. She's entertaining people. Whether you deem it great or a valuable skill set, it's something that's real, right? We've talked about like, are layoffs coming? The answer is yes, but we've given you some strategies, some things that you can do, some things that I'm doing personally to make sure that not only am I prepared for layoff, but I'm able to thrive coming out of this recession that's about to happen into the next economic boom cycle. Olivia, anything else?
The only thing is, if you want more information on how to recession-proof your resume, there is an article in the description for you to check out.
That's what I meant to go. Like, you know, it's funny. I meant to go to my own article, actually. Like, I was looking for the article. I was like, oh, I should have just went to my own article. Like, literally, like that's what I was looking for. I was like, I know there's 5 ways to do it. That was my, that's hilarious to me. All right, guys, if you like content like this, you could subscribe to the channel, subscribe to our newsletter or our Patreon. I think all those links are below. Connect with us on all socials. And until then, we'll see you in the next video.